Listeners, are you looking for precision ag technology to level up the farm equipment that you already know and love? Ag Leader offers the complete package of year-round precision farming tools that can be used across different colored machinery to help you steer it, plant it, apply it, harvest it, and manage it more efficiently and profitably. For every farm and every field activity, Ag Leader it. Contact your local Ag Leader dealer or visit agleader.com for more information.
Teach your students there's no laws when you're drinking claws, or do you get a
I think that'd get me in trouble.
Okay,
I
fair
think
enough.
that would get my license revoked.
Fair enough. Now I want to know more. So
there is a podcast in Iowa, Farm4Profit was named by they. Faith stirred up a banker near, then quick came an auctioneer. Making profit was their first goal, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Soon may the farmers come to bring us guests and beer and fun. One day when the recording's done, we'll take our mics and go. These formats shook us to our core. With Farm4Fun, you will not snore. The banker set all mics to on, and the mullet of podcasts was born. Soon may the farmers come to bring us guests and beer and fun. One day when the recording's done, we'll take our mics and go. Before we knew, conversations grew. Growing corn even said F you. So won't you join Tenor, Dave, Corey, and crew? Please like, share, review. Soon may the farmers come to bring us guests and beer and fun. One day when the recording's done, we'll take our mics and go.
Hey, listeners, welcome back to the Farm4Profit podcast. This is Tanner Winterhoff.
This is Corey Hillebo.
and this is David Whitaker.
Corey sounds a little different, Dave.
He did. He was kind of a little delay, maybe like echoey, little tractor background noise. He's big rigging today.
Man.
I'm trying, man. I don't like to miss podcasts, but when we have this crappy of a situation, we got to go.
We are recording this on May 16th, and Corey is fighting against the calendar, trying to get some seeds in the ground. So what is it, corn or beans today?
Planting corn, this is our second, or maybe you could call it third, but probably our second full day of planting. It's not ideal conditions, but at this point of the year, you got to go. And so I'm not very proud of what we're planting into, but it's getting better with every day of sunshine. But also, there's rain in the forecast for tomorrow.
Well, then it's a good thing you're still going and not sitting here next to David and I. But listeners,
thankful for technology.
Yeah, absolutely. Listeners, if you're out in the tractor right now, don't forget to send us any of your topic or idea suggestions to farm4profitllc@gmail.com or leave us a listener review.
Yeah, you can also call Yo40. There's a couple more numbers before that. What is our phone number one more time? I'm going to memorize it.
515-207-YO40. So what is that, 9040? Oh, my gosh.
I don't know. Yo40, that's all you got to remember. All right. There is a listener review that we're going to talk about today, brought to you by agcareers.com. And
this was our first text message that we have okayed to share with everybody.
There you go.
It came from the 501 area code. Listening to y'all right now on Spotify while planting beans. Was looking for that Farmer John episode, but keep up the good work. Going to be spreading this podcast around.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Farmer John was a fun podcast.
Yeah, so thanks to Ag Careers. We'll pause here for a second for a message from them.
Daddy, did you know 1 out of 10 people in North America works in the agricultural industry?
You're right, Gabby. With the global population expected to increase to 10 billion by 2050, the demand for sustainable food sources will become even more important than ever before. The agricultural industry employs people in a wide range of professions, including accountants, engineers, farmhands, IT specialists, technicians, salespeople, truck drivers, even podcast hosts, and much, much more.
Daddy, your listeners' next career can help put food on the table for people around the globe.
You're right, Gabby. If they go to agcareers.com, that will connect job seekers with employers in the agricultural industry with more than 4,000 jobs posted every month. agcareers.com, that is agcareers.com, can help you find your next career. Set up your free job seeker account and apply for jobs today. Or if you're looking for employees, get started today by posting your first job for only $150 when you use the code Farm4Profit to save. That is Farm, the number 4 profit. Your next opportunity awaits at agcareers.com. All right, welcome back. So, Corey, does this mean that you're off the hook for doing the introduction this week?
I'm absolutely off the hook. I've got nothing. I'm manually driving a tractor. This is some third world country crap right here. But yeah, I think one of you guys have to do it today. If you can do that, this is going to be a bad bump.
Oh, I thought you were going to say this is going to be a bad intro. Like I didn't expect bump to come. I figured
No, I did want to say though, I'm glad I could hop on because I don't miss starts. I'm like Cal Ripken Jr. I mean like 100 for 100 shows, so I'm here, but I'm not going to be here the whole time.
Oh, that's a good call. I like the Cal Ripken reference. That's good. That was clutch.
Yeah.
All right.
So who's going to do the intro?
I'll do it. I'll do it.
All right, here we go.
Let's see if I can get this done.
Who's our guest?
Our guest today will push you when no one else will. We'll believe in you when no one else will. We'll laugh with you when somebody else might not laugh with you. She's a proud dog mom, one of the essential ag teachers. Coming in from South Dakota, Breanna Mueller.
Thank you.
All right. Corey, how did I do?
I'm not going to tell you did bad when I'm not there. So good job. Good job.
Well,
Guys, I'm going to let you go and fly with the show. I got seed coming right now. And Breanna, nice to meet you. And good luck with these fellas.
Thanks.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Thanks, Corey.
Yep. Bye.
All right, Breanna. What are you up to?
Yeah, we are closing out the school year here. I officially have 1.5 days left in the school year, and I'm wrapping up my third year of teaching. So I've been a teacher in South Dakota for 3 years, and actually at the end of this week, I will be headed up to become a North Dakotan resident because my husband has had a career change, and so we are moving there at the end of the week.
Whoa, like this is happening. You were South Dakota, and now you go to North Dakota. Is that near the rivalry that Iowa has with Nebraska, or is it not that bad?
Oh, it's bad. I was told I'm not allowed to wear any jackrabbit gear. I graduated from South Dakota State. It is my love, and I was told I cannot sport any blue. In my interviews, I did Zoom interviews. You know, Corey was talking about technology, and thank God for that. That's how I did all my interviews because we're moving 4 hours away. Some of my new staff administration told me to take down my jackrabbit behind my desk because we have no place for that in North Dakota.
So
Wow.
you went from SDSU. Are you going to NDSU?
So actually, my husband is now employed by North Dakota State University. So we are proud jackrabbits that will have to convert to bison.
Uh-huh. Are you going to live in Fargo?
So we currently live in Fargo. My husband's actually been living up there for about 7 weeks now. But we are hoping to move to an acreage outside of town. We are currently living in an apartment in Fargo, which for 2 farm kids is very difficult to do, but we know it's short term.
So that's your background. So you did grow up as a farm kid. What was that like?
So I actually didn't grow up as a farm kid. I classify myself as a farm kid now because it's kind of all I know now. My background is actually I had nothing to do with agriculture growing up. Lived on the outskirts of town. We gardened, stuff like that, but that was the extent of my background. It wasn't till I was a sophomore in high school. I had a friend who was like, hey, my FFA chapter is doing this parent guest meeting. You should come along and just see what FFA is about. And I thought they were crazy because I had no ag background. The extent of my ag background was one of my friends had horses. And right, like we'd always convince our parents to let me ride the bus to her bus stop so I could get off and do horse chores with her. And then I'd go back home, and that was the extent of my knowledge. And so really didn't have a farm background, but sophomore year really liked FFA, and I really liked the ag teacher that I had. And so then I joined ag, took every ag class possible my senior year of high school. I literally spent all but 2 class periods in the ag building taking ag classes, which led me to now my career being an ag teacher. So really didn't grow up in a farm background, but once I joined FFA, took every farm experience possible, did multiple internships throughout college to kind of get a lot of background in it, and now classify as a farm kid or someone in ag because it's my favorite place to be.
Tanner, she's so ag, the listeners can't even see it, but she's got a Holstein iWatch band on. So
I do. And I'm drinking out of a cowhide koozie.
Cowhide koozie. So, yep.
That is awesome. So, do you feel like being in the ag education space, are there more kids going the route into agriculture that you went than there were in the past?
Yeah, it's a unique situation. I think the only way that we're really going to keep things going is recruiting kids who weren't in ag to get into agriculture, get into different careers, et cetera, because really we hear it all the time, a kid's not going back to the family farms, but obviously we still need to produce more and more food. So especially in my program, there's a lot of kids who live in town, but have a desire to learn more about agriculture and maybe someday be a part of it.
Right.
Tanner, we better get into our first drink.
We have used Ag Leader on our farm for a long time. They just keep getting better. From brand to brand, cab to cab, Ag Leader offers a complete package for your year-round precision farming.
Oh, I see.
Let them help you plant it, apply it, harvest it, steer it, and manage it more efficiently and profitably.
All right, fair enough. So since we got Breanna on, that we decided to drink Trulies today.
We have
Hey, what are you saying about me?
we have no control over what shows up.
This is what they brought us today. So this first one, and we have an in-studio guest too that's just hanging out with us for this. We drink beer and talk podcast, right? You get Trulies today. So here's what we get: orange peach fizz Truly with other natural flavors, hard seltzer.
What is it? Is it got a name? Do they call it? Is it?
It's just a Truly. It's an orange peach fizz Truly.
Floaties not required. Is that what it says?
Not included.
Not included. Oh, it's for floating down.
It's for floating down. All right. So we got some kind of peach fizzy something or other, and we'll give it a shot.
Whoa. That's fruity.
It's fizzy.
It's very fizzy. I feel like, yes, if you chugged one of these, it'd be like that burp challenge that
It
you
would.
see where someone's drinking
Sprite challenge?
the whole Sprite. Yes.
The Sprite challenge.
Maybe that's what we need to do before the end of this is just try chugging one to see how big of a
Oh,
burp.
my goodness.
This isn't for me, Dave. Is this for you?
100 calories. No, it's too fizzy.
Too fizzy.
Oh.
So we got fruity as a drink, and you still don't like it. So
Yeah.
It sort of tastes more like I just licked the outside of the fruit.
I like it.
that is not something the marketing department's going to want to use. But that's honest. I like it. This truly. So this is a part of a case. This is the poolside case.
Most
hard
seltzers, though,
seltzers.
Tanner, it's just carbonation.
It's a limited release poolside case. So that's why there's no floaties included.
There you go.
I understand. Breanna, are you drinking with us, or what do you have in your cowhide koozie?
So I'm actually drinking bubbler. I have no alcohol in my house currently, but I drink a bubbler every single day. So
What is a bubbler?
It is like the non-alcoholic version of what you just had.
Oh.
It is a sparkling water. It's like a White Claw, but no alcohol. And so White Claws are my personal drink of choice.
Oh, so why do you have against Truly?
They're too sweet for me.
That's what we just got. Yeah. Yeah. I
So-
mean, we will not drink the rest of them,
So you
but
teach your students there's no laws when you're drinking claws, or do you get a
I think that'd get me in trouble.
Okay,
I
fair
think
enough.
that would get my license revoked.
Fair enough.
that's fair.
So you got all kinds of. Now I want to know more. So agriculture teacher. So are you teaching like individual row shutoffs? Are you teaching cattle feed programs? Are you teaching this is how you shoot a bow and arrow? Like what's your bread and butter?
Yeah, so I actually started my ag program that we have at my school right now 3 years ago. So before I worked there, they did not have any ag program whatsoever. So I really had to start from ground zero with the basics of terminology, breeds, right crops, weeds, etc. And so I teach 6th through 12th grade. Very small school. Our graduating class, they just graduated on Saturday. Go Chiefs. There was 8 of them. So very small graduating class.
Wow.
So we don't get like too in depth because I just try to cover a lot of different content, but I am more focused on, we have a shop teacher too. So he does kind of the shop stuff, but my personal favorite is animal science. I could talk to you all day long about cows, vet science, anything medical. I work at a vet clinic in the summers when I'm off of school. So that's kind of my wheelhouse, but I love to just cover the broad basics of pretty much touch on everything and narrow it down as they get older.
So my dad has had the pleasure of serving on a committee that started up Siouxland's Ag in the Classroom. So I don't know if you're that close to Northwest Iowa, if you've ever heard of that program, but it's fascinating, the curriculum that they put together. Mm-hmm. Now they're targeting a lot younger ages to just kind of have a teacher that can go around from school district to school district and pop in for a day or two of segments rather than somebody that teaches a class all year or all semester. So trying to gain exposure to those who might not know anything about farming.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I started, is a lot of our kids, I do have a handful of farm kids, but most of my kids come out of a bigger town near us. And so it was a lot of the basics of, how do you even tell the difference between a bull and a heifer? What are the different, what does soybeans look like popping up, instead of corn popping up? Because even those things, we live in a state that is agricultural based, but a lot of those kids have no clue about anything when it comes to agriculture.
So just be thinking about it. I'm going to ask you here a little while later about some of the craziest either misconceptions or just downright being wrong thoughts about agriculture that your students have started with that you've been able to cultivate throughout the process. But I want to talk a little bit about how we found you, and that was on TikTok and Instagram. Do you have the same TikTok story that everybody else does? Did you just start this because of COVID, or is this something because of your students?
So actually how it started was when lockdown started. Obviously, one day we were in school, the next week we were home, and we were home what was a week of spring break, then turned into for like not going back the rest of the year. And my kids beforehand talked about TikTok, and I was like, never gonna do it. That will not be me. That is embarrassing. I was a new teacher. It was my first year teaching. So like that would be teacher suicide, social suicide, like starting a TikTok and stuff like that. Well, then what else do you really have to do when you are sitting at home bored all day long trying to teach online classes? So I started TikTok to kind of just relate with my students and just have some fun because I needed a new hobby. And so that's kind of where it started, was just doing like the fun dances or whatever to kind of relate to my students. And then it became something I was known for. I've even been asked as I'm switching schools and stuff like that and moving, people are like, you're still going to make TikToks, right? Good thing you're still going into teaching because we couldn't live without your teacher TikToks. But yeah, it kind of started as a joke with my students just to kind of, have some fun, be that embarrassing teacher. I'm never afraid to be embarrassed. And now it's kind of snowballed into a way bigger thing than I ever imagined.
So what is way bigger? What does that mean? Have you had other opportunities that have popped up because of it?
Not a ton. So like when you guys were like, oh, we found you on TikTok and stuff like that, the biggest thing is that, right, and being from a small state and a small school, like it makes me laugh because I'll be at state convention. We had state convention a month ago and people are like, that's the teacher from TikTok. Or like people tell my students like, oh my gosh, you're so cool that your teacher is the TikTok star. I am the most famous teacher in South Dakota for her TikTok and stuff like that. So this is probably the first time someone's been like, we found you on TikTok and we want to talk to you. But
wow, first time and you went straight to the top? That's a big deal.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah. I don't know where you're going to go from here. This might just be the end of it.
Yep. Just got to, can't go further than this. So. But
that's cool. It is fascinating how many people that we have met through social media have joined because of the pandemic. But to us, sure, there's a lot of negatives that came out of the pandemic, but also how many cool people have we met because of this?
Lots.
I mean, we're talking hundreds. Well, we went to Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville. Gosh, say that. And met all kinds of people that were a blast. But
Sorry, do you hashtag Farm Talk then? Or do you hashtag FFA?
Hashtag FFA. I can be found on Farm Talk. You know, it's interesting. My husband works in the feed business, and we were there near the end before he changed careers, and I had some of the farmers coming in, and they're like, well, I'm glad I can still see you on TikTok. And I was like, I had no clue my husband's coworkers were watching me on TikTok. This is awkward. But it's not as much. My TikTok's very focused on teaching. For a long time, it was kind of getting on the parts of education that are not good right now. Now I've been trying to be a little bit more on the positive teacher talk side, just because it's a rough time in education right now. But this summer might have to lean towards Farm Talk because I won't have as much teacher stuff going on.
I'm not in teacher talk circle. Why is it a little bit of a rough time? What's going on?
Teachers right now, I think education as a whole, just like our system is struggling just because of the way education's ran right now. There's so much focus on test scores. You know, it's more focused on creating students who perform where we want them to perform. Besides like when me in the CTE, right, career and technical education or ag sector, like I want kids to find what works for them, like what their goals are, and then those be the goals, right? So like some kids, their goals are going to be like to get C's and D's throughout high school and go back to the family farm. And that's like completely an okay dream and goal to have. And some kids, right, their goals are to get A's and to go on to medical school. And that's okay if that's their dream. And so like, to me, I think we need to treat both of those equally and like respect both of those. Whereas a lot of times in education, like you're only seen having value if you're the student getting the A's, you're the student athlete in 3 sports, and you're president of everything. Student behaviors have been difficult. I don't know. I wish we could pinpoint where it came from. If it truly was a pandemic, I think everyone's been blaming COVID for all this stuff for the past year or two, right? We hear it with supply chain. We hear it with all these things about the issues that came with COVID. And so behaviors of students have been difficult. There's just a lot of lack of respect for teachers and what we do every day. So that's made it a challenging year.
I think you should be able to smack kids. I really do. And the reason I think this is because like there is an element of fear.
I didn't know what you were going to say.
There is an element of fear. I feared my dad was going to beat me, like strategically beat me. Now, does my dad want to beat me? No. But he wants to punish the behavior.
To influence the behavior.
To influence the behavior. We don't want to punish the kid. We want to punish the behavior that we didn't like, okay? But let me tell you, I remembered it if I got punished. And I also remembered the fact that my sister got the crap beat out of her. And not crap beat out of her, but she got whooped or whatever. I'm like, I'm not doing that, tell you what. And it modified my behavior. You can't smack kids anymore. So, and smack is the wrong word, but you can't discipline kids
like we used to.
Like you used to. But I think there was an element of fear. Like, tell you what, that Miss Mueller, she's gonna kick the crap out of you. I've seen her with the cows. I'm telling you. I mean, it would
right. She used the word respect. I mean, I think that's part of it. Is you had respect for your parents because you at least had enough respect to where you didn't want to do something that upset them.
Yep.
It just comes down to, I think, kids in our society are lacking consequences. So it's really hard because you ask a kid what disrespect is, and to them, disrespect is making them do things they don't want to do, taking their phone away, etc. When it's like, no, that's a consequence because you're not doing what you should do or what you're supposed to do. And so it's just very interesting because I think our society, and I'm not just saying kids, I think there are people my age, all of our ages, who just they lack consequence in life. And
there's some entitlement too, Tanner. Even at my kid's baseball game the other day, I got one kid that just sits there. The ball, he's like got him at first, like he's going to get hurt if the ball is coming his way and he's just chasing butterflies over here, and the coaches are trying to, be polite and, hey, and they're yelling at him. And finally they're looking at his parents like, are you going to yell at him too? Or are we just going to get smacked with a baseball? And so, yeah, even as a parent, we want to be coaches, but I'm like, I'm being a coach because I'm going to get sued for something because it's not going to be good.
Well, and it's interesting being a coach of my daughter, second grade softball, to witness this. By no means am I comparing myself to an educator, but just the only experience I have with somebody else's children needing to follow instruction. And it's been fun, though, to watch some of these girls progress throughout the season because some will pick it up a completely different way. Some need game experience in order to understand why you were teaching a technique. There's another that was chasing butterflies until you made her active in every play, so either a catcher or a pitcher, because she's one of the best catchers we've got now. Just sometimes it takes engagement, and that's what I respect from you, Breanna, as a teacher, is that's probably the biggest part of your job is figuring out how to engage each student at their level.
Can I ask Breanna a question?
You sure can.
All right.
This is Sam with Ag Leader.
Yeah, I'm Sam. Hi. But so my brother's a teacher, so I get to hear some of these stories. And some of the best stories that he tells are not about the kids' behavior, but their parents' behavior. So I was just wondering if you have any good stories about some poor parent behavior.
Yeah. This was not in a school that I'm at. I'm just going to preface that because I'm not going to tell a story from my own school and have someone come back at
That's
me.
fair.
And like, you shouldn't have did this. This is a fellow ag teacher friend of mine. She had a student who was acting up in school. The student called her a nasty word about her behavior. You can all guess, what a student would call a female teacher. And so she called, sent him out, called the parent about it, explained the situation, and the parent over the phone 100% said, well, sounds like you were being one and you deserved it.
Whoa.
And so this was not a personal story.
So they validated it.
Yeah, so they pretty much, and that's something we see all the time, which is defeating, which honestly, teachers don't leave because of the kids. I mean, some of my kids, yeah, you want to strangle them, but you love them to death because the thing is kids are a copy of their parents and the environment they've been raised in. And so it's really hard when you want to strangle a child to remember that really it's not the child acting that way. It is they're just copying what they have at home and the behavior that they're allowed to have at home, which can be difficult.
I think this is horrible because everything's a learned attribute. And if it's a learned attribute, what's all right, we went pre-Korean War veterans to baby boomer generation, next geners 40 to 50s to millennials.
So is it a lot different from when you went through your ag classes to the way you have to teach now? Because I've heard that the learning ability is there's less curious students because of Google.
Oh, huh.
So there's two sides to it. So things that I've been told before is don't teach them anything they can Google. Well, then what am I supposed to teach them? Because you can Google anything, which is true, right? But I think the lack of curiosity, I think we've taken away imagination. We had a student just present their senior capstone, and part of it was, I think it said in our high school, like 15% of kids had an imagination. And, I think
say that again.
The lack of imagination.
15% of kids have an imagination?
Like 15%. And that was just in our school survey he did, but about 15% of, and this is like 7th through 12th graders, right, still have imagination. So I think through going back to the broken education system we currently have, is that we at such a young age are teaching kids concrete thoughts and like concrete ways of doing things that we're taking out all of the curiosity, all the creativity, all the sense of wonder of things. And we're just pretty much pushing math facts and social studies. Like those things are important, but I think we're forcing kids to grow up too soon. I mean, that's something I think we can all agree on, that kids, I think kids act a lot older than they should be acting, right? I remember when I was in middle school, like I was just focused on like computer games and if my Webkins was alive, like the little creatures on the internet. And like now my middle schoolers are worried about you know, what their TikToks, how their TikToks are doing and who they're following and, you know, if they make the varsity teams and all that. I think that has a part of it. You talked about the lack of curiosity, and it's a scary thing because how are they going to solve our future problems if they can't think and imagine those things?
I got a clip that I'm going to play here after we drink our next drink, but I got something quick, and I think Dave's got a follow-up. I heard it somewhere, and I can't... Oh, I do know where it was. Yeah, it's part of the same documentary that I watched. But students are now doing more fact-based learning than feeling-based learning. Yet a lot of the criticism you see media, social media, is about bullying, which is a feeling-based attribute. You know, if we taught more how to interact with other people, if we taught more about how you are to, you don't have to be fake, but to be kind, to be nice, to be able to navigate socially rather than just factual learning, might go a little bit further. But what'd you look up, Dave?
I don't know. You just had me like really pissed off because every time. So
that's what we want to do. No, it's not what we want to do.
I worked at Hardee's when I was 14. See, and you had to learn to talk with old people, like because they want their 10% discount because they're old and they get the senior discount.
Sure, I started at Fairway. You had to be able to talk carrying groceries out to the car.
But it makes me so mad when I go into a grocery store and somebody doesn't like acknowledge me. Like, I'll be with you in a second. Like, I made a TikTok about this the other day. Like, at least engage that you know I walked in the front door and said, oh, hey, just a second. I'm helping over here. I'm helping Sam. I'll be with you in just a second. At least I know you, like, had some. No, they just won't talk to me. And then they'll finish helping Sam. Then they'll go check their doggone phone or something. And now I sound like really old, but I'm really not that old. It just really makes me mad that nobody will engage with anybody anymore. But I'm a talker. We need more extroverts in the world. All these introverts are killing me.
Dave, Home Depot is not a sponsor of your podcast, is it?
No.
No.
Because they scatter like roaches when you walk in the door at Home Depot. There's so many of them. But
So what are you seeing in your ag students? Are you seeing the same types of personalities, or is that a different small group? Because I know you made a TikTok about you don't have to worry about going on overnight stays because you know you've got good kids. Is it the same?
Yeah. The values we instill in agriculture, I think, overflow into ag classrooms, which when we think of what are our values as an agricultural community, right? Hard work, respect, leadership, independence, etc., right? Like, so I know my ag kids and they know I have high expectations. So you talk about like the respect, being scared Mrs. Mueller is going to beat the crap out of you. Right? I don't physically scare my children, but I think I scare them a little bit mentally because I'm tough. I have high expectations. And I think that's kind of the standard of most ag teachers is we expect more out of our students. And just being a part of the National FFA organization, I mean, we want them to be at that place. So I think it's not something I would say that kids walk in with. I think it's something that's created in the organization, in the classroom, and et cetera. I guess is kind of my feel.
All right. I'm done talking about education. We need to drink something. We need to get to something else with Breanna. I'm sure she does something other than be a teacher.
I'm going to play a clip after we drink this, and then we can move on.
All right, here we go.
We love having partners that work with all of our listeners. So while you're sitting in the cab, think about it. Jumping from cab to cab, going from season to season. There's only one way to do it all on your farm, and that is to ag leader it. Steer it and gain pass-to-pass accuracy. Plant it with unrivaled planter and seed control. Apply it and ensure precise coverage across your entire field. Harvest it and make unloading on the go simple. Manage it by having 24/7 access to your data in real time. For every farm and every field activity, Ag Leader it. Contact your local Ag Leader dealer or visit agleader.com for more information. Here's the next one. So thanks to Dahl Distributing, we have another Truly. This is out of their Poolside Hard Seltzer Limited Edition pack. We are diving into flavor with their Pina Colada. So a Truly Pina Colada style.
Pina coladas are my favorite drink, so if you don't like this, I don't know if we can be friends.
So I love Pina Coladas. That was pretty much the alternating drink that I had on my Mexican vacation. And This is like a watered down.
I was going to say,
colada.
I don't taste the sharp pineapple. So
Yeah,
I like it better
not to disappoint you. I love pina coladas, but this is a little
Good to know.
lacking. It is just a little bit.
This was better than the last one.
Oh yeah, certainly. It's there. You can tell it's supposed to be a pina colada, but it's not all there. What flavor of? What'd you say it was? A bubbler?
Bubbler.
Is that the brand name, or does that just mean it's a sparkling?
I'm going to attempt to get it out of my can koozie. It is Triple Berry Breezer. And you know, the only crazy thing that's come out of my Instagram and TikTok, you asked if I work with a lot of people. I am actually sponsored by Bubbler.
What?
So Bubbler sends me free drinks every month. And so I just got to try their new flavor as a tropical dream flavor. I got a special launch pack of that and got to try it before the masses. But yeah, Bubbler.
Nice.
It's great. So
That is
this
cool.
is like, it tastes like a Blue Jolly Rancher, essentially. when I'm
Ooh,
drinking
that sounds
right now.
good.
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this. So this is a documentary. This is a clip from a Mr. Rogers documentary. So "Won't You Be My Neighbor" is the name of the documentary, and this is one of the speeches that he gave while he was accepting his award. And Breanna's already shaking her head. Have you watched this documentary?
Pieces.
So you know where I'm going. So
I think so.
so I might go a little different direction than you're thinking, but I also caught wind of this in the sermon that we had, and I don't normally bring this type of stuff into our podcast, but when thinking of ag teachers and how impactful they can be to students, both that have childhood ag backgrounds and those that don't, I thought this would be kind of fitting. So it's a 2-minute clip, so we'll give it a little bit of time here. But it gives a little perspective and maybe is good for all of our listeners here while they're sitting in the cab to take just a couple of moments.
All of us have special ones who have loved us into being. Would you just take, along with me, 10 seconds to think of the people who have helped you become who you are? Those who have cared about you and wanted what was best for you in life. 10 seconds of silence. I'll watch the time. Whomever you've been thinking about, how pleased they must be to know the difference you feel they've made. You know, they're the kind of people television does well to offer our world. Special thanks to my family.
So he goes on in that
friends,
speech
and to my
to accept it and tell more about the people that got him there. But the reason I wanted to share that is the part of the introduction for you today that I stole from Haley Magnus was talking about her ag teacher. So states here, the highest respect for the ag teacher out of all teachers in the school. Nothing against other teachers, but I think what you were saying a lot about your personality traits to where you're not instilling fear, but trying to gain respect. You helped me be the person I was meant to be. You pushed me. You believed in me when nobody else would. You got mad at me anytime I didn't give my best. You went beyond being just another teacher. You were more than a coach, even more than a mentor. You were family to me. In fact, you spent time away from your family to treat us like your own. And for that, I am forever grateful. So that, I hope other ag teachers turn on to this podcast and listen. And I also hope our listeners know that there are people in their lives that help them get to where they are as well.
Yeah, and the whole time during that Mr. Rogers clip, all I could think of was my ag teacher, because he was hands down the most influential human being of my life. He had more influence than my parents in my life. He was the first human being to ever believe in me and push me and, said the behaviors I was doing when I was a freshman in high school, they wouldn't cut it. I had to step up, be a leader, try new things, and he really is the one who pushed me when my parents said, the way you're acting is fine. It's what every teenager does. You're going out and partying on the weekends. every teen does that. You're defying us. Every teen does that. And it was my ag teacher who kind of pulled me out of that and said, that's fine if every other teenager wants to do that, but you're not going to act that way. And so getting a little emotional over here.
So he was a leader and he was in ag? Was he an ag leader?
I see what you did there.
Oh man.
He would have fit right in.
He would have fit right in at ag leader. So you've been a teacher. You got.
We got to get out of the teaching. I promised after the clip.
Here we go.
We're done. Let's jump completely off. So we've got a friend of the podcast, Vance Crow. And we've interjected Vance's intellectual quips into our podcast before. He's highly respected by us. We're glad to call him a friend of the podcast. But we like to pose his questions. And one question that he put out recently, Dave, was, what is your favorite smell? One. So let's do that. What is everybody's favorite smell? And since Breanna's our guest, we're going to make Sam go first. What is your favorite smell? Boom, right top of your mind.
I'm going to go with the vanilla.
Okay, vanilla, good. Breanna?
Evergreen.
Okay. Dave?
Man, I want that one, but no, I'm not going to take evergreen. I'm going to take freshly printed newspaper.
Okay.
Have you ever smelled freshly printed? Oh man, it's good.
I don't know that answer, but for me, it's mowing the yard. It's freshly cut grass. Okay, so now the second part of his question is, how would you describe that smell to somebody who has never smelled it? So that's the question that I don't even know how to answer. How would you do that, Dave? I've never smelled freshly printed newspaper. So how would you describe that?
Well, one thing I thought it smelled like was elk. So growing up in Montana and being a hunter, but you'd have to have smelled elk before. But most people wouldn't correlate the two together. But I'm telling you, freshly printed newspaper smells like elk.
So I have a feeling Sam's going to be good at this because the first drink that we had, he described the taste like licking the outside of a fruit. So if you had to describe vanilla to somebody.
Well, has this person never smelled vanilla or never smelled anything?
Never smelled vanilla.
I really don't know how to. I think
Isn't it hard?
You have to have the experience in order to relate to it, don't you?
Right. Breanna, evergreen.
Yeah. Evergreen, I think of Christmas morning. I think of that smell of like the winter, new snowfall, and you're out, you just cut down a pine tree, bringing it into your house to decorate for Christmas morning. That's what I think of.
Yeah, so she did way better than you two did so far.
I know. Well, evergreen. I was thinking mountains, crisp, clear air.
So that was what Vance was going for. Was what type of descriptive words? So if I'm cutting grass, it's springtime, nature, fresh, green. What are words that you could put in a person's mind to make them think they might know what it smells? So
I'll be the new Vance Crow. What is something you cannot Google?
Oh. That's good.
We just picked this up from Breanna on this podcast. I wrote it on the back of my sheet. What is something you can't Google?
That's true.
Every time I think that I'm going to be the first person to Google this, I start typing it into the search bar, and it pops up in the pre-populated results.
There you go. Well, that's
fair.
That's a good segue. I'm going to segue into clothing because you have a boutique, correct?
I do. If I'm not busy enough, I love Western fashion.
Really?
Western in North Dakota.
You're going to have to rename it now because
we
it was
ranchy out here.
Ranchy.
Ranchy.
What does ranchy smell like?
What is ranchy? It smells like cow manure. That's what it smells like.
Yep. But it's SISU, so SU South Dakota. You're going to need like NDSU style boutique.
So yeah, the word it's called sisustyleboutique, and sisu is a Finnish word for like a strong, courageous woman who perseveres.
Whoa, that was
so that's
deep.
where that word came from.
Are you Finnish?
No. You want to talk about Googling? You know how long it takes to Google and find a business name that has not already been used?
It's going to be like Ranchwear Boutique or something.
You're talking to the Farm4Profit podcast that put a 4 in the middle of it. Yeah, we know.
And so, Yeah, it took a long time to find. It probably took me a month.
So you're not Kate Spade purses and Empire Waist dresses. You're like straight up like cowhide, Lucchese boots, etc., etc. Yep. I see.
Flare jeans.
Turquoise. $100 says you got turquoise something.
Yep.
What is up with turquoise in every ranch girl?
It is the jewel of choice. It's just gorgeous.
I think every cowgirl wanted turquoise eyes or something like that. I don't know what. Coming in Montana, I'm telling you what, every necklace has turquoise in it.
So how do you source your products?
I just work with, so actually kind of how it started, my boutique, that was my source, like my boutique that I always bought from, always showed up on my doorstep. She started doing wholesale. And so the clothes that I love to buy, like I tell myself like now I'm so addicted to shopping that I just do it to feed other people's addiction, because I go on, do all the research, buy the products so that they can buy them from me and know that they're getting good quality stuff.
There's a whole different TikTok channel right there.
I know. Yeah, I do have a TikTok with that boutique, but it's really, man, as you guys maybe know, like keeping up with all the avenues of social media, that's a full-time job in itself. Mm-hmm. So right now I stick with my Teach Ag with Mueller TikTok because that takes enough time of my day.
Right.
But
that's fascinating. And when I ventured over to Instagram, because this next comment's not going to sound creepy, since DMs are closed on TikTok, you can't invite a guest.
Oh, you can't?
Without them following you back.
Oh.
So clearly we know that she didn't follow me back.
Sorry.
Yep, right. It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
It probably didn't pop up. You probably followed one of my trending videos, and I just have so many people.
That's so funny. Went to Instagram because DMs at least can be open, and hers were. Huh. And that's where I discovered the other part of my intro about you pushing people and believing them, because you're also is it a coach? What do you call yourself there?
I'm a fitness accountability coach. So, I can kind of tie this all to agriculture, but it started, my husband and I moved out here for his job. So I moved 6.5 hours from my family. My husband works in the feed business, and coming out of school, we landed what we thought was his dream job. Okay. He had no intentions. He wanted to go on to get his master's in ruminant nutrition, but we got this job offer at the time, thought it was a dream. So we decided to not pursue grad school and to move out here to the middle of nowhere, where it led to him working 60 to 70 hours a week. Pretty much saw my husband for like an hour a day, and I just got bored because we don't currently live on a ranch or farm or anything because we were right out of college and moved somewhere we have no family. So what we ended up doing is I started just working out in my house because the closest gym is 20 miles. We live in a 400-person town. And the biggest thing is I was annoyed with not being able to help with farm work. So my husband's family raises sheep, and with sheep, they decide to small square bale all of their hay. So we're talking like thousands of bales of small square bales every summer since we started dating. That is what we spent our summer doing. And I was sick of not being able to really help. Like, I drove the tractor, which is great. But when they were unloading hay, stuff like that, I couldn't do much because I couldn't carry the bales and stuff like that. And I got kind of sick and tired of it. So that's where it kind of started. And then I am someone who, like you said at the beginning, you're like, is there any topics we can't cover? I'm an open book. So I just kind of started sharing what I was doing, how I was fighting some mental health issues, stuff like that, and using this to cope with it and battle it. And then from there, just kind of started holding people accountable and people jumping on with me to start creating their best lives too.
So I'm not, Dave looked at me, I'm not letting that slide. A good host does not let that slide. What did you discover worked to help you cope with whichever mental health direction you went?
Yeah. I learned that what helped me cope was the physical workouts, because it helped me gain mental strength and helped you realize what you're like, the effort you're putting in here, not giving up on yourself, not wanting to quit when you're crying and sweating and you're like, I cannot do another push-up or another, 30 seconds of whatever. kind of translates into life when, like, to be honest, I talked about in the beginning of this, my husband and I have lived apart for 7 weeks now with this. And it'd be really easy to just talk about, like, my life sucks. I hate it. We have to move. Like, we're selling. My husband built his dream shop on our property. Dream shop. We put up with our own 2 hands, I guess 4 hands because there's 2 of us, but whatever. And we have to let go of that. And it'd be really easy for us to slide into this poor me situation. But instead, when I've conquered these physical challenges, it's helped me then conquer the mental challenges. And it's just a mindset shift, to be honest. I think all of us, I mean, you could tie it into the bigger realm of happiness and all that is a lot of people are unhappy because they don't have what they want, but really we don't realize what we want we already have. We just have to be thankful for it.
I think people need to join the Marines.
Oh, you do?
I do. I think everybody needs a suck it up attitude. Not to belittle any kind of whatever, but so my dad was a Marine, and it was just like, suck it up, do better, go faster, quicker. If you don't like it, well, then change it, make it happen attitude. I don't know how we can bottle up a make it happen attitude and sell it like Red Bull, because we'd be rich. We'd be like super rich. So like the attitude she's talking about, like, hey, can't quit. Yep, gotta do another push up. Let's suck it up, Marine. Make it happen. And there's no quit. I want to bottle up no quit and sell it like Red Bull.
But I want to say that there's a lot of technology and experience that goes into the instructors of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
That know how to, I'm going to use the terminology, break it down and build it back up, because they're getting down to the core of who you are and what drives you, and then use that to motivate you back up. So there's, in the banking world, everybody knows that listens to this, I'm a banker. One of the largest cases of fraud that we see on a regular basis is called elder abuse.
Oh, yeah.
It's where those who are not quite tech savvy are using technology and are getting taken advantage of and having money stolen from them. But there are organized companies, mainly outside of the U.S., that will train people the art of communication, the art of breaking somebody down to where you get to what drives them, and then full pressing on what makes them tick. You know, like you were saying, Breanna, you took the physical challenges, the triumph of a physical challenge to let you know that you can succeed somewhere else. Some people it's empathy. Some people it's, I don't want to be last place because I always want to outpace the Joneses. You know, whatever it is, these criminals are taking advantage of the older people, 60 and above, by using the technology that we have to dive into the individuals and find out what makes them tick. So not everybody needs to be a Marine, but I think we need to apply the research and technology that we have to help make people know this. There's a way that you can make yourself better. And I think we're more aware now, once you say, Breanna, of mental health and the various different avenues that cause pains in people's lives.
Do you think that's changing with the demographic or the next generation? Does the next generation, are they as tough? Like when I think, you see the memes on Facebook that when I was 18, I was in Vietnam and watching people die, and now 18-year-old, oh, they took my phone away, boo-hoo. Yep. I mean, I got to think that there's a little bit of difference of growing up tough and not growing up tough.
So I wanted to touch when you were talking about, how do we bottle it up? Yeah. And I think of grit, right? Our kids don't have to get uncomfortable anymore. And that's really what I push in my classroom, is making them do things they don't want to do, because that's how we grow as individuals. And I think the thing is kids now, and right, I'm thankful for this. I'm grateful that I don't have to worry about my husband getting drafted. I'm thankful I don't have to worry about, right, a lot of things that people, my grandparents had to worry about growing up. But life is so comfortable for us here in America that we forget how lucky we are, and we haven't really had to push for anything. We were talking this weekend, we celebrated graduation, and right, they recognized the 8th graders and, talked about this as the greatest accomplishment so far in their life. And I'm like, there are literally 0 qualifications for graduating the 8th grade. Like, you don't even have to pass your classes. Like, you literally, the education system, there are 0 qualifications. Yeah. And people are holding 8th grade graduation parties to celebrate you doing something that needs no requirements.
Everybody gets a trophy.
It is. It's the participation trophy thing. So it's, I think to anyone listening to this is you have to push the people in your life to the places they don't want to go in a positive way, right? I think of FFA, public speaking. So many of my kids didn't write. They wanted to pass out when I told them that you're going to walk in that room and you're going to say the FFA creed memorized to 3 judges and answer their questions. And they're like, I've never spoken in front of anyone and done memorized things in front of people. Like, what are you talking about? But then, you know, they get to be a senior in high school and they're giving the speech at graduation and people are like, wow, like they speak better than most adults do in front of a crowd. Exactly. Because you make them do the hard work. I just think there's a lack of kids needing to learn how to survive in our world. Every single thing's handed to them, from the cell phone in their hands to their allowance, the gas money, right? You mentioned when you were young getting a job. I mean, I got a job at 14 and have worked every single day since I was 14 because nothing's handed to you. But a lot of kids.
So that's the perspective. You want to?
Well, and having traveled the world, I'm going to say it's different depending on what part of the country you're in.
Yeah. So the perspective, and another expert that I can't remember to even quote what was being said, states that most generations that raise a generation want them to have what they couldn't or didn't have. So if you think about that, yes, our parents went through a draft, went through serving, might even experience PTSD before it was a diagnosable PTSD. There's things that are imperfect about them that they realize that they tried to instill in our generation to allow us to have a better lifestyle than what they felt. Same thing goes. Parents of today could be the biggest reason why, but in their mind, they're trying to give their children, I know I'm doing it in my household. I want to give my daughters the most opportunity that they can possibly have because I worked, like you said, from the age 14. I don't want to change my past, but if my daughters don't have to work at age 14 and can enjoy their childhood, that's a goal of mine. Is that wrong? It actually could be, but that's what, you know, I'm talking 8 and 6 years old right now. I got some time to figure this out. But that was my initial thought until literally sitting here right now of maybe I should have them get a job. You know, I want them to enjoy it. But it's interesting to see how generations go. But
I think the same with tech. Like everything that our kids are going to do, they're going to need tech. They're so my kids want to play on the computer and they want
we
to get
still
good
need
at,
someone to fix the toilet.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So I want them to play on the computer to understand, because I've tried to hire people that don't understand like what the X in the corner does. That's a problem. It's going to be a problem for them. But then that being said, I also want them to know how to go outside and weld something together. But now my kids are so addicted to the doggone computer that I'm like, we have go-karts, we have side-by-sides, we have four-wheelers, like get outside. There's a trampoline, like go play.
Right.
You know, I don't know. There's a fine line. Don't be a parent. It's hard.
Well, is that like your birth control speech?
That's my birth control speech right there.
We are covering all topics in this
everything
episode.
Today. Hashtag don't be a parent.
Yeah, welcome, Breanna, to the Farm4Profit podcast. Let's do the last drink here, and then we'll get ready to wrap this up because we've already taken most of her evening. So this is, again, thanks to Dahl Distributing, Strawberry Melon Fizz. So truly hard seltzer coming out of the Poolside limited edition pack.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Must have been. Sam's going to wear his home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it any good?
I think it's good
Had
stuff.
too much.
Had too much, yes.
I like strawberry.
Strawberry Melon Fizz. This is, unfortunately, I think this is my favorite one.
I think so, too.
And I love pina coladas. That's a bummer. The best thing, Breanna, about this is Dahl Distributing as a distributor. It's not Truly that's sponsoring us. It's the distributor. So, yes, they want you to go buy more of their products at the companies in which they sell them to so they can distribute more. It doesn't mean you have to buy more Trulies, and that's probably going to be my recommendation, is the Poolside limited edition Truly pack.
It's good stuff. Just a little fizzy.
Okay, so I know you said you don't get embarrassed, at least not very easily. But what would someone think is an embarrassing obsession of yours?
Oh, goodness gracious.
What is your husband's name?
My husband's name is Shane.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
He is not imaginary, even though some people for a long time never saw him when he was working. So people at my job were like, are you actually married? Oh, goodness gracious. I bet if you asked this to one of my students, they would rattle something off like no question. I think the big thing is bubbler. I drink a lot of bubbler, and I'm just obsessed with my dogs.
Okay, so what kind of dogs? We skipped right over that in the introduction.
See, I was gonna say cowhide because she's got cowhide fingernails, cowhide watch, and a cowhide.
Yeah.
Cowhide, yeah, cattle, love cattle. I would say, so my dogs are two toy Australian Shepherds. It's kind of funny. My husband, they are not right? Australian Shepherds are farm dogs, but these are like the toy version of them. So they're like 10 pounds. But they work cattle very well.
Really?
Yes. So my female, she's the older one. Our cattle back home, she would heel them through the chute. So we didn't even have issues getting them through the chute. She'd heel them and get them through. And so she does really well with our sheep as well. And she didn't grow up. We adopted her when she was young. And she actually did very well. So it's kind of nice because they're just two tiny little things. And my husband he likes to act macho, like they're not his dogs and he doesn't love them. But I think he's more obsessed with them than I am, according to the Snapchats I receive. So
we need to make a new terminology. So a toy, Australian Shepherd, I'm assuming means small, right?
Yeah, very small.
So what else is small that we could call toy?
Oh, I could have totally responded back with a joke super fast.
I'm pretty sure you could have, but like this is my toy tractor. It's a 4020. It's not a 9X whatever.
Right.
Like what? There's a something for our listener. Miniature, but this is my toy cow. This is my. We don't use that term for anything else.
Right. That's fair. Mm-hmm. That's fair.
It's my toy flashlight. It's just a little one. It's on my keychain.
That's another one of her students is probably going to send us an email.
All right.
And let us know, one, what her weird, embarrassing obsession is, and two, what we should replace the word toy with.
Text us and let us know, yo 40.
Yo 40. I will look up the phone number.
You might not want a student texting you what they should replace.
We vet everything. The texts come directly to me, so I can vet them. And I would say send me a text message because so far they've been really entertaining. But
so I still have a question. I ask a bunch of people this. What are you going to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I'll still be an ag teacher, I think. So we are looking at farms and acreages. If you asked me 6 months ago what my dream job was, I probably would have told you that my dream job is to be a stay-at-home mom, farm wife. I'd love that through and through. Now that we're moving and we want to start ranching and be on an acreage, very expensive to get started. I will probably end up working till I die. So being an ag teacher, I can't picture myself. When we were in this move, I looked at other careers. I looked at things in 4-H, looked at different educational roles in the private sector. I just couldn't find anything that I thought would give me the same joy and reward as teaching. So I think I will be that person when I'm like 80 years old, still teaching because I can't give it up.
Did you ever think of teaching older people like Congress and becoming like an advocate or like,
I've thought about it.
South Dakota already has a kick-ass governor, but you could be North Dakota.
You could be North Dakota governor.
You have to be careful. Down here, people half of the people love her, half of the people hate her. Personally, I enjoy her. I think she's really fun. I don't think politics, I would get myself kicked out of politics. I am too opinionated and I don't have a good filter.
Speaking of opinions, we just got a new guest live on the podcast here. Corey, he's back with us.
And he also has no filter.
I am back, and I'm finally got all the end rows on this field. I'm going back and forth using no hands. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's fun. Well, Corey, it's just in time to ask her the question we ask every one of our guests. Do you want to do the privilege?
Sure. Are you ready, Breanna?
As ready as I'll ever be.
What do you know now that you wish you would have known sooner?
Man, that is a loaded question.
All right, think about it. Listeners, if you have a topic or a guest that you want to send to us, it's Farm4Profit LLC at gmail.com. Or you can send us a voicemail or text message to 515-207-9640. We've got a special thanks to our in-studio guest that hung around just to drink with us.
And sorry, I Also spilled strawberry sea breeze
On something.
or something.
Strawberry melon fizz.
Melon
Yeah,
fizz. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Sam with Ag Leader. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't even say Ag Leader now that he spilled stuff everywhere. But now nobody will forget you. But no, thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you had a little bit of fun.
Thanks for having me.
And there you go, Breanna. What do you know now that you wish you'd have known sooner?
I think the big thing is that you can't let the way you grew up define what you want to do in the future. So obviously this is an ag-based podcast. As someone who didn't grow up in ag, it was so easy for me when I was younger to think, or like when I first joined FFA, that I couldn't be successful in FFA because I didn't come from an ag background, or I couldn't ever get into agriculture because I didn't have an ag background. And so I think the big thing is knowing that if you are willing to work for it, you're willing to go out and get that knowledge, you're willing to put yourself in different experiences and gain the knowledge and do the work that it takes, you can really go into any industry you want to. And so this may be for someone who's just starting out, or someone who's listening to this podcast because they just really enjoy farming, agriculture, and they're in that feeling where like they don't know if they'll ever be able to do what they really want to do. Is that, you know, leading up to this exact moment, you don't have to worry about those things. You can go on and have total new experiences. You talked about your past earlier. Your past doesn't define your future. And you can go ahead and take control of really whatever you want to do. Yeah, there's some limitations, money, that kind of stuff will always be there. Corey, sorry, just flung us around the tractor.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully you don't get motion sickness.
No, but I was like, he was just giving us a tour of his nice workspace. And so to anyone who wants to be involved in agriculture, you can definitely do it. Even if you feel like it's an uphill battle you'll chase your whole life. It's worth it.
I love that answer. And it inspired me to ask another question that might become a staple. We'll see what Dave and Corey think after I ask it. But you are helping a lot of people outside of yourself. What drives you to keep doing this? I mean, you have described in this entire episode like 18 jobs that you are doing, but what drives you to keep going? Why do you keep doing what you're doing?
She already told us it's bubbly.
It's got like bubbler.
Yeah, bubbler. That's what it was. That's what it was.
What drives me is, so I'm an Enneagram 2. I don't know if any of you are Enneagram. Maybe it's kind of a girly thing, but if you haven't looked into your Enneagram, do it. I'm an Enneagram 2. My style is the helper. I am driven by knowing I made a difference in others' lives, which is why I do what I do. But what keeps me going, like education, we talked about, right? Not to go back down that spiral, but it's a hard place to be at. The reason I see myself in education forever is because nothing will beat the letter you get from a former student saying, you know, you were the one person who actually believed in me. You were the one person who treated me like a human being instead of treating me like a child. It's the person when you help them, we talked about some of my fitness stuff, right? When you help them lose 50 pounds and they're like, I can actually run around with my kids, or I can, simple things we take for granted, like a kindergarten teacher sitting on the floor cross-legged with her students, or just like little things in life. I think that's what drives me, is knowing that I made a difference. You talked a little bit about a sermon, and the faith side of things is living my life out for God, knowing that I'm making a difference. Because if we're just internally doing things for ourselves and selfishness, we're not going to get very far in life. We'll always want something else. But it just brings me a lot of joy to help others and know that I'm doing what I can to make the world a better place, because there's a lot of nasty things in this world. And I always tell my students in every interview I did for my new jobs was, they asked, what's your philosophy? And if I can leave someone better than when I met them, that's my goal, is to make every human being better when I say goodbye.
So I think you've done that on this podcast. And I'm not just saying that to be nice. I mean, truly, but
yeah, truly. Like that.
No, I can't. I was on accident. You can't do that to me.
I think he's had too many Trulies.
No, this is perfect. So, again, to kind of close out on this, I had to Google this. So, apparently you can Google what an Enneagram 2 is. So, that's not the answer to your question, Dave. But it's quite interesting. I might relate with you a little bit on your basic fear, according to this, is the feeling of being unwanted or unworthy, your basic desire is to feel loved or wanted, and the Enneagram 2 with your one wing is a servant or a host. So that's super cool. And I feel like that's kind of what we do here on this podcast is, yes, we get personal benefit out of this. We got to meet you. This is awesome. We talked with Sam earlier today. We got to learn a lot about the Right Spot technology from Ag Leader. That's stuff that I wouldn't have had access to if we didn't have this platform. So it's a lot of fun. But Corey, get ready to hit unmute, because I want to know what drives you, even though odds are stacked against you. You're behind the calendar date and conditions are not ideal. Why are you still out there putting the crop in the ground?
Well, what other choice do we got? You're the banker. You're making me.
You're making me.
So what Enneagram is that? Banker made me do it.
First of all, and rather than what drives you, what are you driving for our listeners?
I'm driving an 8345 RT with a 24-row 1770 John Deere planter with Ag Leader, downforce, electric meters.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like the looks of that screen.
It's like the...
Was that an in-command display?
Like what's your fit for farmers, right?
Was that an in-command display?
Yeah.
Nice.
You could use that for spraying.
So you that's right. You pulled your book out, Breanna. Did you actually pull the book out, or were you?
Yeah, so I have a devotional I've been doing for Enneagrams, and I was trying to, but you have to have a lot more info on what
Than
makes
just the banker made me do it? Right.
But yeah, there's 9 Enneagrams, and there's a super easy test online to figure out, but it's really interesting, and it's good to do if you work closely with people, because it's fun to know, like, right, people feeling unwanted, like you said, was something, my fear, so it helps just know how to interact with people.
This is great.
Corey keeps doing it because he's got to feed America.
He's got to feed the world.
He's got to feed the world.
That's right.
Got to feed some pigs.
I mean, yeah, we got to do that, but we're doing it for our families too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Corey, thanks for popping back on. It was nice to see your sunshiny face again at the end of this. But more importantly, thanks to Breanna for hanging out with us. And once we hit stop here, I want to talk to you about recording your own podcast, because your servant-like mentality and your ability to communicate and articulate, I think, would go a long way. So thanks for being a guest. Thanks for responding to a DM on Instagram. At least it came from the Farm4Profit account and not from just some weird guy from Iowa.
I probably would have deleted it if it would have been just...
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
rarely respond to my requests, so I'm glad I responded to this. It was fun.
I'm glad that you had a lot of fun. So if someone wants to find you, we've gone this far into the episode.
How do we get all FFA to listen to Farm4Profit?
That's another post-show question. That's a great one.
Surely she has some influence here. She's an influencer at school and on TikTok.
Her name's Breanna, not Shirley. Anyway, how can people find you on Instagram and TikTok or anywhere that you are currently doing your social media?
Yeah, so on Instagram, you can find me at Breanna.Mueller. It's BREANNA.Mueller, MUELLER. And on TikTok, I am Teach Ag with Mueller. So all one word, Teach Ag with Mueller. TikTok is probably the more fun platform to see me at.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much. We had